1 second. All right. I seriously doubt anybody's going to be here anytime soon, but it's happened to me again, y'all. I had another video deleted by YouTube claiming misinformation. And then on top of that, I was going to go to my main channel and go live to do what I'm doing right now and basically kind of bitch and moan about it. But for some reason, YouTube will not let me live stream. You know? So evidently, man, what I've got to say when I do talk about stuff, evidently it rubs the powers that should not be the wrong way. Because, man, I mean, seriously, they've been trying to fucking shut me up for a while. So we'll see what happens. What's up, Garrett? Yeah, it's just pretty crazy, though. I mean, seriously, I get up this morning, it says another video, and I remember the video this time. Like the past, like 2 or 3 videos that they've recorded or deleted, I've totally forgot what the hell was on that video. But this one, I remember it because it was basically a mirrored video of another video that somebody else made. All right. And yeah. Well, they fucking they deleted that one claiming misinformation. And then I was gonna go straight to straight into live streaming on my main channel. And then I get a little banner. It says not allowing me to live stream. YouTube is not allowing me to live stream. So I don't even know how long that is going to go on. So that's the reason why I'm over here on my second channel, man, and streaming now. But I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, either the YouTube bots and shit are really just having a heyday, you know, going through all my stuff and nitpicking, it doesn't matter. If it was one word out of the fucking whole video, one word in the whole video, oh, they got to delete the whole goddamn video. Misinformation, medical misinformation. You got one word wrong. Or one word is now been flagged and that whole damn video is gone. Because I'm not sure exactly how they're fucking playing this. I seriously doubt it's actual people that are looking at these videos that they're deleting. Unless, like, for instance, you happen to appeal it. What's up, Huckleberry? But I mean, because after somebody appeals it, maybe an actual person with a heartbeat will actually fucking watch the video. But it's just driving me nuts. I mean, what exactly, other than maybe like trolls from somewhere else coming to my channel and fucking watching my shit and reporting it or whatever. I don't know how it's getting done at the moment. but it seems like it's being, it's like seriously. Um, well, I haven't had a video deleted in about a month, but the 2 months before that, I had five videos deleted, and yeah, I know, Gary. And that's what is starting to really piss me off, man. Because shit, you know, and this is what's getting me too, man. Because you know, and this goes for everybody that's content creators or whatever. All right, now these are the things that we put the effort and time and money and whatever into making these videos and sitting down and actually putting them on our channels and stuff like that. We all do this. Yes, I understand it's YouTube's platform, but technically, in my mind, when they delete my stuff, even though it's their platform, when they delete my stuff, they're fucking technically stealing my shit and throwing it away or whatever they do with it. I mean, as far as I know, it's just deleted, but they're stealing my shit. I don't remember in the fucking um, agreements or whatever when you get onto YouTube saying, you know, I give them permission to delete whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want, however the fuck they want, whenever, I don't remember, saying I agree to this. I mean, I don't even, I mean, I've looked through some of the damn, the community guideline thing. This is what bothers the shit out of me. If you actually read through like the community fucking guideline thing on the medical information, it's messed up, dude. I mean, literally. If you promote healthy living, you are violating the fucking community guidelines. This is the fucked up thing about it. I mean, literally. If you were to promote on your fucking channel healthy living, eating, like really well, like like vegetables and all this other stuff, really just eating very well food, really good foods, that goes against the goddamn medical misinformation community guidelines of YouTube. It's fucked up. you know I'm really fucking sick of this fucking modern day book burning shit. And that's exactly what's happening with my fucking videos getting fucking deleted. That is a modern day book burning. I'm fucking sick of it. And I know a lot of other people are fucking sick of it. I know other people that are having their whole goddamn channel fucking taken down and they've spent years building, you know, and the click of a fucking mouse, boom, it's all gone. I would love to have that same shit happen to the powers that should not be, you know, just their whole life at the click of a mouse, gone, you know. I mean, honestly, the old saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Well, goddamn right. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Why don't we start deleting fucking YouTube? If there was a way to do it, just delete the motherfucker. You know, because honestly, nobody really needs this shit. Not even me. I don't need fucking YouTube. I don't need this fucking platform. You know, it just happens to be convenient. And instead of watching TV, I watch YouTube. So I don't need this shit. I don't really care. And they all they're doing is just pissing me and a lot of other people off with this modern day book burning shit. This communist fucking Marxist socialist fucking ideology fucking shit needs to be eradicated from the fucking planet. You know, this whole ideology needs to be rooted right out of people's fucking brains. I mean, you know, seriously. What is that? Imagine there are some sore losers that just put out pain because they don't want to be alone in theirs. Well, that's that what they call misery loves company. You know, but it driving me nuts, man. I mean, the very last one that I just got deleted. I had it titled an old man sitting in a chair. That was the name of that was the title of the video, and that's literally what it was. It was an old fucking man talking while he was sitting in a chair. That's exactly what was on that fucking video. And yes, he was speaking a lot of truth, but evidently anything that's truthful, anything that has anything to do with truth is medical misinformation or just misinformation altogether, according to fucking YouTube. You know, if anybody wants to come up on this panel and have this, have a conversation, please come on up. You know, because I mean, honestly, man, just listening to me rant and shit about this fucking crap, I know it'll probably turn people off. So I'd rather have like a fucking bunch of people on the panel and we'll have these conversations about this type of scenario, about this type of subject. You know what I mean? Because quite honestly, that's what I want to talk about right at the moment. Is this bullshit that continues to get worse with these platforms, and I don't see the benefit of picking up and moving to another platform because to me it's a bait and switch. That's exactly what happened with YouTube, Facebook, everything else. It baited you in with all this fucking cool shit and this so-called freedom of speech shit, and then it all changed. It was a switched up. It was a bait and switch. And that's exactly what's happening with all these other fucking platforms. You might think it's free speech and everything's okay and hunky dory over on these other platforms, but it will change because that's exactly their whole fucking thing. They want to make it to the point where we have nowhere to communicate and nowhere to spread truth. That is the evil plan. You know, and quite honestly, man, I really, you know, I think all that needs to be fucking that needs to be reversed. That script needs to be flipped. You know, I'm sick and tired of being a part of a fucking play that somebody else is having. You know what I mean? I don't like being a pawn in somebody else's game. I don't like, just, I don't like having somebody else have control over my destiny, and I'm sick and tired of fucking, you know, eh, you know, just average people to companies to governments or whatever. They all think that they have the authority and power to impose their will on everyone else. Well, I mean, in Huckleberry, the gun scenario, I think that's, you know, that right there, they have in their mind, they have to disarm us, because when they actually have a fucking uh, um, where lead is being traded back and forth, um, they do not want resistance, and that's why they are trying so freaking hard to at least legislate um, our inalienable God-given rights away from us. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, you know, see, inalienable rights. I mean, no one can take them away. No one can take them away or give them. All right. So when they try to do this legislation shit, they're actually, what they're doing is they're trying to use actually force and violence against you and keep you in fear, so you'll do what you're told. All right. See, the use of force and violence is the only way that the powers that should not be get their way. Now, my question is, why in the fuck do they have this fucking monopoly? And why in the fuck are we supposed to think that we're not supposed to use violence? You know, self-defense can be very fucking violent. All right. And violence can be used for good. So I don't understand this mentality that to be on the right, or to be on the right side, or and to be on the good side, or whatever you want to call it, to be on a stand up person, all that stuff, you're not allowed to use violence. That's bullshit. That is the evil fucking propaganda trying to keep you submissive to their rule. See, this is the thing too. YouTube thinks this is gonna fucking fuck with me. I mean, it pisses me off that they did this shit. But what this is gonna do is probably fucking strengthen my resolve, and I'm gonna put out some more shit. Soon as I find some of the best fucking shit, I'm gonna put it on YouTube, and I'm gonna, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, there's a part of me that just said, fuck it. I say fuck it all together. You know what I mean? But that in turn will also, it will let them win. If I just give up fucking altogether and say fuck it, fuck YouTube, and just go away altogether, well, they win. You know, they win. But I'm just one person. I'm just you know, one individual. But there will be a reckoning. You know, it's kind of messed up. That I think about this stuff sometimes. But things like, you know, things come across my head, and I have these thoughts. I have thoughts every so often. Hard to believe, isn't it, that I have thoughts? Wingnet has thoughts. But I was thinking, I was like, man, you know, there is a small part of me that actually, you know, there's a small part of me that actually is rooting for the whole goddamn thing to go to shit. Um, there is a part of me, and which is kind of funny too, because like when the Nazi Pelosi's fucking plane did not get shot down, I was quite disappointed. You know, because I'm sick and tired of hearing all this rhetoric you know, this fucking, you know, pounding on the beach, you know, on your chest type of shit, you know, and oh, you know, I will not stand for this. There will be fucking consequences, and you know, doesn't seem like a whole lot of shit's happening. You know, I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of all these fucking governments around the world doing all this fucking talking. I dare you guys to fucking start some shit. You know, I mean, seriously. And this is coming from the people. I know a lot of people that are in the same boat, you know, that that have had the same thoughts in their head too. See, these are just, it just happens to just, you know, float across my head, you know, and I'm like, you know, I kind of agree with it. I'm like, well, fuck it, dude. If you guys are really wanting to start some shit, bring it on. I actually dare you, motherfuckers. You know, I mean, what do I got to lose? You know, I mean, I got everything to gain. I got nothing to lose. And quite honestly, man, when everybody gets to the position where they've got nothing to lose, that's when we become very, very dangerous. You know, because if we got nothing left to lose, we've got everything to gain. So I'm like, okay, if these fucking insane fucking jackpot fucking assholes that are around the goddamn planet in these positions of power that call themselves governments and shit, you guys want to start some shit? I mean, seriously. I'm just like, quit fucking talking. Let's get it on and let's see who comes out on top. I mean, honestly, if you guys really think that you guys are gonna fucking do some shit, do it. If you guys are gonna sit there and, you know, throw all this bluster out and blah 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 and all that other stuff, you know, and whatever. I mean, you say you're gonna shoot down somebody's plane if they come in that fucking space, and you don't do it. What the hell? I mean, what the hell? So, I mean, you know, honestly, man, I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it, let's rip the fucking band-aid down, rip the band-aid right off. That's why I'm at that point. I'm like, okay, fine. If you guys want to start World War III, World War IV, world fucking whatever, if you guys want to start this shit, let's get it the fuck on. Let's just get it the fucking on because I'm sick and tired of all this fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? I just want to live my life and I want to live it where, you know, people don't fucking bother me. I don't need a fucking quote unquote a government to govern over me. I don't need fucking people telling me on how I should live, how I should think, how I should eat, how I should breathe. I don't need that shit. I just want to be left the fuck alone. I want to be left the fuck alone, live my life, and live it the best way I know how, and live it happily, and thrive into the future for my future generations. That's what I want. But if you guys want to throw this fucking war and death and destruction, I'm okay with that too, because I'm gonna tell you something. All that is going to fucking kill you motherfuckers. I mean, you know, all these fucking brown nosing motherfuckers and shit like that, they think they're gonna be immune. They think they're gonna be untouchable when all this shit happens. No, no, that's not gonna happen. You know, they've had fucking crosshairs on their foreheads for fucking years. And when it all goes to shit, all bets are off. So all these motherfuckers that think they're gonna be untouchable, all these motherfuckers are gonna be like protected. No, they're gonna be dead. You know? I mean, seriously, all these people that are in government that think they're going to be protected and all this other shit. No, you're gonna be dead Because when the chaos is released, the chaos will envelop those people. It will turn on them. The chaos will turn on the person, the peoples that released the chaos in the first place. You know, they don't understand that that's what's going to happen. They don't think that's what's going to happen. They've got this, um, this positive outlook that, hey, we'll be fine. Yeah, Huckleberry, they will be the first to go. Hell, history has told us many times over. That's actually how what happens. You know, no one will have a get out of jail free card in a sense. No one. So I'm like, okay, fine. Let's bring it on. Because this bullshit with YouTube is just stressing me out, man. It's just fucking well, it doesn't really stress me. I got more things more stressful than that, honestly. I mean, I'm in a position where um I got I'm probably going to be forced to reduce the last 10 years of my life down to like what I can fit in my fucking car and being forced to live in my fucking car. So that's kind of stressful. This YouTube shit is just bullshit. It just makes me want to say fuck YouTube altogether. And honestly, I kind of would love to just blow the whole goddamn thing up. But you know, I don't have the informations and stuff like that to blow it up. I need more. I need a shitload of truth to just blow up everything. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I need a big huge truth bomb. That's what I need. I need a nuclear truth bomb. Because honestly, man, I think people are starving for truth. I think people are. I think people are actually they want truth. They actually are they're actually craving it. Even if they don't know it or realize it, they're craving it. They want this. They need it. It's almost like air. People need this. People need truth because that is the I mean, otherwise you're living in a lie. Everything is a lie otherwise. Every single thing. And that's the thing too. The more I I observe what's going on around me, the more I know that our entire lives, I mean literally our entire lives, we've been lied to. We've been hoodwinked because you have people that are very um, they're more concerned with the, the bottom line. They're more concerned about money than anything else. I mean, even what's going on right now with around the world, I mean, even what's going on YouTube, it's all about fucking money, man. The only reason why YouTube is sitting there deleting my fucking videos claiming medical misinformation is because it's money. There's money. That's what's fucking turning the wheels in this fucking shit. It's because of fucking money, or to be more correct, it's the fiat currency that is fucking making YouTube do this. Because honestly, man, they wouldn't do this shit if they weren't making any money doing it. There's evidently the truth that people are putting out there on YouTube is hindering or is actually um, it's actually affecting their bottom line. Evidently, the truth being put out there is actually affecting YouTube's bottom line, and that's why they're going after so many people out there. Because I mean, honestly, man, there's communist fucking Marxist fucking ideology to sit there and just delete people. I mean, seriously, I don't really give a shit how obnoxious you are and how much of a fucking asshole you are. I don't really give a shit. I believe you have a right to free speech. You can sit there and talk that shit all you fucking want. But I'm going to tell you something. I have that same ability also, and I can sit there and make fun of you. Okay? Yes, I can sit there and totally ridicule the fuck out of you because you're a fucking dickhead. I'm not going to try and get you deleted. I'm not going to try and silence you. I actually want people to hear your fucking shit so they can understand and recognize what poison really is. You know, if you don't know what a poisonous snake is and you've never seen one before and all this other stuff, it would really suck to be walking around through the fucking woods and get hit fucking bit by a poisonous snake. You know? See, this is the thing. The poisonous snake scenario is the truth that I'm trying to put out there. I'm trying to, there's every so often I do things here. I mean, like a lot of my other videos on my main channel and stuff, it's not necessarily me trying to convey an information simply because I'm not the most articulate person when it comes down to wording. I tend to use a very colorful language. Unfortunately, to some people, no matter what I'm trying to say, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to say, even if it was the most importance, the utmost importance of what I was saying, it doesn't matter. As soon as I use that first profane language type of word, their brain shuts off. They won't listen to anything else that I say. So I'm not the most articulate, and I am not, and a lot of people will not be reached by some of my information if it's just me talking. That's why a lot of the videos that I've put out of information has other people conveying the information simply because they are better at articulating. All right. What's up, Vex? And the thing is, man, when I put out information, I'm trying to like basically give you knowledge. I'm like, okay, this is what a poisonous snake looks like. All right. This is what a poisonous snake could do. This is what the poison they use. This is what it can do to your body if this poison gets into your body. This is like, it's like the information I get. It's like telling you about this poisonous snake. You know what I mean? This poisonous snake, if you've never seen one, you've never or heard of one or whatever, this is it. This is that poisonous snake. Well, evidently, YouTube does not want me talking about the poisonous snakes. You know, because YouTube and the other powers that should not be doesn't want people to be knowledgeable and aware of what's going on around them. And this is another thing too that actually kind of bothers the shit out of me. I've been observing this on YouTube also, and this is just average YouTube content creators and whatever. You know, some of the mindless drivel that is being discussed is, that kind of shit doesn't ever get deleted. That mindless drivel conversation, it never gets deleted. It stays up there forever. It doesn't even get a fucking strike, doesn't get nothing. Nothing happens. But when people fucking start talking about real stuff, getting down into the root of the problem, the whole truth of the matter, that's when all the fucking the bots of YouTube or whatever and all the trolls of YouTube fucking start coming down on it. you know. And like I said, this is not just YouTube. Just happens to be YouTube is the only social network on the internet that I'm on, so that's why I'm focusing on YouTube. But it's everywhere. You know, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. I don't really give a shit if it's fucking Parlor, Library, fucking. It doesn't matter if it's anything else. Eventually, even though Parlor and Library and all this other stuff, they're doing all right so far. Eventually, it'll be going the same fucking route of Facebook and YouTube. And until people fucking realize what's going on, they'll continue to do what they're doing. And what they're doing right now, like when it comes down to YouTube, is they're basically purging everything that does not agree with the World uh, Health Organization, or does not agree with the World Economic Forum, if it does not agree with the fucking communist fucking bullshit of fucking NATO and the UN, if it does not comply with all that, it's being purged, you know, because sick pedophile shit on YouTube does not get purged from YouTube because it's in alliance and it's in accordance to all that shit. It's actually okay, it's okay with it. Yeah, and I agree, Vex. And that's the thing, dude. Vex, I've said this before. Every one of us has got our own talent, our own skill set, our own way of doing things. All right. And and this massive fucking machine that has to be, run a certain way or it doesn't work. This big massive machine, oh, all of us have our own talents and skill sets, and we have our own way of throwing our own quote unquote, or metaphoric, or whatever you want to call it, monkey wrench in their whole machine. Now, if everybody threw a monkey wrench in their machine, in their own way, however which way they know how to do it, like me, it'd be me just sitting here talking. That's my monkey wrench in the whole machine. And and until they come around and pull my monkey wrench out, throw it away. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're doing. Some of these videos of mine are my own version of a monkey wrench thrown into the machine. It's when they delete it, they're just pulling that wrench out and throwing it away, and well, I'll just throw another wrench in it somewhere else. But that's the thing, dude. That's my talent, I guess you would call it, or my way of doing things. But everybody else has got their own talents and their own way of doing things, and their own version of a monkey wrench that can be thrown into the whole mix of a thing. Because this machine, as vast as it is, it's very delicate. It's got a lot of moving parts. That's their downfall. You know what I mean? Their whole machine is so vast and so big and so many moving parts. Every one of the moving parts is a weak point. If you get what I'm, if you smelling what I'm stepping in, and Vex, I think you're on. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm just fucking tired of it, man. It just fucking irritates you. I wish I can actually retaliate. I really wish I could retaliate to YouTube. Because that's what I want to do. I want to retaliate. This appealing to the masters to be good masters and be better masters is bullshit. Like they fucking. I mean, that's all they got basically. Is like, okay, we're the YouTube gods, and if you don't like what we do, we'll let you appeal it. and then we'll decide if we agree with your appeal or not. You know, be gone with you, you peasant. That's about how they fucking treat us, man. But I really wish there was a way I can retaliate. Yeah, I mean, not, I never thought about directly because, quite honestly, I'm more thinking about, you know, something along the lines of guerrilla tactics when it comes down to that. You know what I mean? That's on this massive scenario, you cannot fight this massive scenario at a straightforward head-on type direction. You can't do it. It won't work. You'll get killed. You know, you'll die. So, you know, guerrilla tactics is a good thing. Um, Maybe even more modified, more modern guerrilla tactics. That's something else too. See, I'm an X generation. I really never really got into. I never really went totally into the whole digital realm shit. I never really got totally into it. I'm still analog, and but the one of the things that I kind of wish I knew how to do was code. Because that could be one thing I could probably do if I knew how to do it is code and use the tools that are available, that the powers that should not be provided, and use that against them. you know See, I know there's a lot of hackers out there and crackers out there. There's a lot of those people out there, and it makes me wonder, are they all working for the bad guys? you know because I mean, there's this group that claims to be whatever. I don't know. It could be just a bunch of individuals that really have no organization with each other or whatever. But this thing called Anonymous. Now, I like the idea, which it may not be this way, but I like the idea of a bunch of anonymous fucking people out there that know how to do all this code and stuff, that are out there fighting the good fight through the digital realm. I like the idea that may be out there. I don't think it's true. I just think it's a bunch of people out there, that talk a lot of shit. Because I mean, honestly, I have yet to see anything out of this so-called anonymous group that actually did any good. I mean, I've seen a bunch of videos that made some pretty damn good points, and I might agree with some of that stuff, but yeah, other than that, I haven't seen shit. No, this idea that there is a group of people out there that are fighting the good fight for everybody. That's bullshit. I don't think so. I honestly, Vex, I know how deep it can go. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I've dove deep into some shit, and that's the thing. It's like I know it can go pretty damn deep, and but it just doesn't seem like there's any evidence of any of the quote unquote good guys getting anything done. You know, it makes me wonder. Because honestly, what I have been observing is that everybody has been on a response and defensive mode. I mean, that's basically everybody's been in. I don't see anybody making any like proactive type uh, initiatives other than the other side, the opposition. The opposition are very well organized. well motivated, well funded, and it seems like they fucking work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to fuck the rest of us over. So, I mean, I know the other side, they've got their shit together, evidently. They've had years of practice and got a shitload of money and a lot of people that have been placed in positions of power. You know what I mean? So they've got a lot of influence and all this other shit. They've got their shit together. But the side of truth and good and all that other stuff, I really don't observe that. I don't observe the coordination, the well funded, and the well informed. Um, you know, I don't see that on the good side. I'm not observing that. I see there's a lot of individuals out there that may think this and all that stuff. I don't see the coordination. I don't see the fucking I don't see any of that stuff that the other side's got. I don't really see it, you know? Because quite honestly, if I was actually to observe it, we'd see a massive movement stomping these motherfuckers out. That might be all right. I mean, I can't say one way or the other there, Bex, but I'm just saying, in my observation, you know, the other side has got the motivation, it's got the funding and the coordination. What the fuck do we got? We got a lot of motherfuckers out there fighting amongst each other's, for stupid shit. That's another thing too, is all this stupid shit that people fucking sit there and argue over. While the other side is sitting there continuing to make plans on how to fuck us all over. We're all fucking fighting amongst ourselves about bullshit. About subjects that really don't mean shit. And that's another thing too I've observed. I've tried talking to people about different subjects and stuff like that, and it ends up that the subject always gets changed or something like that because it gets too deep for people to think about. It gets too deep and 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 too frustrating for people to actually understand and think about. So the subject gets changed. It gets changed, and it turns into some drivel. Let's talk about drivel now. We can't talk about all this important shit anymore, man. It's making my head fucking swell. Let's talk about stupid shit where my head doesn't fucking hurt so much. That's what I've been observing. You know, because I mean, I have noticed that some people's on YouTube's they try to get down to the nitty gritty. They tried to get down to the truth, but they haven't been able to stay there. Oh, there you go. What's up, Bex?
Hey, Wingnut. I understand what you're talking about, but as far as people fighting against it, it's not out there in any type of mainstream area. It's well, can you think about this? The system that we're within right now, the government and all of it, is what I like. Well, a lot of people start calling the de facto, and the opposite of that is the de jure.
Mm-hmm.
And this has to do with me talking about the assembly and all that, because there's are people getting together that are fighting this. But the difference is we can't go out in the full public because they'll shut us down because we're not that big yet. We're getting there. but we're not that big yet. And as far as uh, going against them, learning to code and stuff like that, I'm not a coder. I'm a researcher, I guess.
Hmm.
That's the best thing you can do right now is find the truth of history.
Well, that was the reason why I was sitting there, because the difference between a hacker and a cracker. A
Mhm.
hacker is an explorer. A cracker will actually go in and do mischievous type of scenario. All right, now a hacker is more like an explorer. It's actually it's what you're talking about. A researcher
Mhm.
goes in and looks around and explores and leaves. All right, doesn't touch anything, doesn't mess with anything, doesn't alter anything. Just comes in, looks, and leaves. That's one way of observing and researching.
Mhm.
That's the reason why I'm like, that's why like the thing with the was it WikiLeaks and stuff like that. It's like there was all this information that was coming in that he was able to gather, from other resources and stuff like that that are actually able to get in and look around, find what they, and then, you know, all they did was just like basically copy the information, and all that stuff. The thing is, it's like oh man, I'm sitting here starting to think about what I'm talking about now. It's like, the exposure of that truth is
Mhm.
what really needs to happen. But the only problem is how to get the see, and that's what's bothering me. It's like this is just another level, even on my own channel. When I dig deep and find certain things, and I find truth, and then I expose it on my channel, for instance, in one way or another, either by talking about it or mirroring a video or whatever. Um, uh, that, yeah, and they tend to fucking trying to squash it, but how I don't, this is what bothers me is like I don't see, even though it might be in the down in the underground type of scenario, I'm not observing even under the underground
Mhm.
any of this happening. I mean, yes, there's individuals here and there. There's a person like me. There's a person like you, but there's not like a group of a fucking million of us, all coordinated, all well funded, and all in cahoots, and all that stuff together to actually go against this monolith. I don't observe that happening. You know what I
And
mean?
generally people don't. As a matter of fact, the most that everybody has any hope in what's going on right now is believing that the Republicans are going to do this big tidal wave and fight for the people. Well, most people don't understand that the ones that they're entrusting with this, these rhino Republicans, they're not on our side. Once you take that oath of office, you fall underneath the de facto corporation rules, and you will do as the de facto corporations tell you. And that's the whole problem with it. It's the same coin, two sides of the same coin. They're both not working for us. That's
Huh.
just hell. California is a perfect example. How long do you think it's been since they've had an actual real vote?
That's a good question, man. I mean, it makes me wonder. Like, for instance, Nancy Pelosi. I'm like, who are these idiots that are actually voting her in for this so many years?
Well,
Who the hell is this? You know?
well, and that's the whole thing. They didn't vote her in. These people, and if they did, they're totally ignorant of what's going on, and they believe all the propaganda. Which brings me back into what brings me to the Smith-Mundt Act. That's what enabled it. You can look it up. In 2012, Obama signed a bill basically turning propaganda against the American people.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, well, we had a bill already written in 1948 that said that they are not allowed to do that because that would defeat, well, America.
Well, I
Because
mean, yeah, I mean, and then when the was it? I can't remember when that was. When it was revealed in that the CIA actually had their hands in mainstream media and basically propagating their own propaganda through the mainstream media,
Mhm.
and you know, it's they're see this
Yeah, I understand. I hear you, man. I hear you.
the
Believe me,
the
I was going through this exact same thing before I
the
got into the
frustration,
assembly.
and it's like, and this is another thing too. Like, I've got my own personal problems. I've got crap in my own personal bubble that really puts more stress on me than all this other shit. But this other shit just frustrates the shit out of me, because part of it is because it feels like I can't do anything about it. There's a feeling of I cannot do anything about it. I mean, it's beyond my control. You know what I mean? Um,
And that's what they want.
well,
That's
yeah,
that.
I know. And
Yeah.
that's another thing too. It's like I hate that feeling of not having, where I do not feel like I have control over my own destiny,
Hmm.
where others that have no they don't have any interest in my interest. They're not concerned with my well-being at all, but they're the ones in control of my destiny. And I hate that fucking feeling that I'm not in full control of my destiny. And if I'm not in full control, how can I get control? All right. Well, if I can't get if I cannot control certain aspects in my that happen in life, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
how can I gain full control of my own destiny when um there's stuff that's just I can't do anything about. You know what I
Well,
mean?
there's a way to gain control, and it's through knowledge. See, our founding fathers set up this government so that every single being, living person on this soil had a say in what was going on. And it wasn't until they got rid of the 13th Amendment saying that no titles of nobility can take office and stuff like that. They had to get rid of that. And now we have a bunch of lawyering everything that's done here in the United States instead of we the people making decisions. It's all about the courts, and the courts, as well as I do, are so taken over and cowed that they're going to do whatever they're told to do.
Well, yeah, that's because it's under Admiralty Maritime International Law. It's not under
Exactly.
fucking common law. That's the
Exactly.
supreme law of the land. And
And
that's what it really needs to happen, in my opinion. Now, if I had control over that, if I had a way of to control that to where it would go back to the natural common law and say, screw all this other Admiralty law, this international shit, this globalist idea, that needs to be eradicated from the planet, in my opinion. But if I can control that, where I had a means of actually controlling that is trying to control me, you know what I mean?
mhm.
I would like to be able to if I want to be able to fight back from that. I'd like to be able to push back. I'd like to be able to bury it in the fucking ground where it never fucking shows its head again. Because quite honestly, that whole ideology, Marxist, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it, whatever new word they've they've fucking call it now, because evidently, if you just redefine it or call it something else, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of
No.
like today is the a depression is the new recession.
Mhm.
Just because we redefined it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. It's like they've done this for many, 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 many years. I mean, for centuries actually. It's like the what is it like the Illuminati. I mean, back in the day when they first started all that stuff, they ended up getting a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. That's why they started calling it something else.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, it's not the same thing because we called it something else now. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
still it's all the same shit. It's just different names, different days, and different definitions or whatever. And all right, well, the weaponization of language. All right. Uh,
Yeah, I hear you, dude. And
Well, see,
see,
that's the thing. It's like, all right, the only thing I have is my mouth right now.
mhm.
And evidently, even some of the stuff that I'm not even saying, and I just put videos of other people saying it, it's striking a chord because they're book burning the hell out of my fucking videos. It's irritating the shit out of me. It's like, in the past 5 months, I've actually seen my video counts go down versus going up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And And every single one of them is either misinformation or medical misinformation. All right, and that's what they're claiming. And and that's the thing that bothers the shit out of me is that this just happens to be YouTube, and then you can relate this into a broader sense also. But the so-called masters, they're punishing me somehow by like taking my damn video off. All right, and then they give me the option to appeal it, which is me saying, oh, please, master, will you please give me my video back?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it places all the control in their hands.
Right.
Well,
And
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead. I was just going to add that uh, the toughest part about all of this is getting people to change their way of thinking. And even for me, I noticed it was a big, big leap whenever I changed my way of thinking. I attribute it, like, once again, to the assembly. Now, once I learned about the assembly and the history involved and the history that has not been told to us, then I realized there's a different level to all this. Because before I learned, like I said, before I learned about the assembly, I was just like you. I was ranting and raving and cussing like a sailor and all that stuff. And I was doing nothing but getting more and more frustrated each time. But it wasn't until I started learning this other stuff that I started gaining confidence, and I didn't get as aggravated as much. Granted, yeah, of course, I still get aggravated. I mean, hell, YouTube took my video up of the story about Davy Crockett. It's a simple little story, but it's got massive implications if the people learned about it. And the story is called "Not Yours to Give," and it's basically the simplicity of the story is Davy Crockett ran for office and got in, but then during the time he was in his office, he was swayed by emotion and stuff like that because a neighboring town burnt down. So they said, well, we have to, send them help. What kind of money do we have that we can, send them to help them out? And it wasn't until Davy Crockett was basically running for re-election. He essentially ran into a farmer, out on his farm. And, he was looking to basically talk to the farmers and stuff like that and get their vote. Well, that farmer said, yeah, I voted for you last time, but I'm not voting for you this time. And he says, I didn't. Why? Well, the farmer explained to him real simply, saying that money that you wanted to give away and did give away was not yours to give away. It was the people of this county or the people of this state. That was their money. They didn't authorize that. And that's why, YouTube took down my video about that, because essentially it goes against everything that's happening right now. All the money that's been being thrown over in Ukraine, all the money that's being spent on these black projects,
exactly,
all that stuff. They're not supposed to do that without our permission. And that would fold the government in an instant if everybody knew it at the same time.
Well, I mean, all taxation done at the point of a government gun is extortion. All right, it's all done with force and violence. All right, nobody consented to this shit. Nobody did, and if they did, they didn't know what they're consenting to. All right, nobody consented to it and all that stuff. So all of this is actually just being, thrust upon us by force and violence, and the use of fear. That fear tactic is like, okay, it's kind of the same thing as like back in the day that the old slave masters used to do. Is a tactic that they would use. What they would find is the most vocal and the most disobedient slave that they had. All right, and they'd pull them out in the yard and get everybody out there, all the slaves out there to watch, and you would whip that sucker until he's dead, pretty much. All right. That right there is that is the slave master's way of saying, hey, this is what's going to happen to you if y'all don't do what I tell you. All right. And that's basically what they're trying to do with everybody now, is basically punish people and make it public that they've been punished. It's like, okay, you must comply, you must obey, or this is what's going to happen to you, and make them. And quite honestly, in my opinion, like I said, that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Quite honestly, the same shit can happen to them. And
Yeah.
honestly, that script needs to be flipped over back onto them, because quite honestly, these bureaucrats, these politicians, these people up in governments and stuff like that, that have this disdain to the actual, they're just the people, or and this idea that they are, and they're, I guess, better than everyone else.
Hmm.
That just needs to be flipped altogether. I mean, this whole idea. See that no one. All right, and I don't, this idea that a select few people, and I'm just going to use this as an example. The WHO and the World Economic Forum, those are two organizations right off the bat that think that they know better than the rest of us on how we should live our lives. All right, and they're using their influence now to influence all these countries. That's what's influencing YouTube right now. You know
Hmm.
what? I mean, and I didn't. This is the first time it's happened too. But when they deleted that video just recently, I was going to go on a live stream on my main channel. And the only reason why I'm on this channel on my backup is because when I tried to go live stream using StreamYard, I get a banner saying that I'm not allowed to live stream on YouTube. So evidently, I'm pushing buttons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Evidently, I'm hitting the fucking nerve on what I'm saying, because I've been noticing even like when it comes down to me, um, uh, like if I was on somebody's live stream panel or even hosting, sometimes if I start getting too deep, going too far into that hole, next thing you know, my cell phone is shut down.
Hmm.
I mean, and it's happened many times, and it's too coincidental to be coincidence, because it's right in the middle of a sentence, right when we're getting to the root of the problem or whatever. Um, my cell signal, everything will just drop to nothing. I have to literally restart the phone to come back. Now it would have been doing that for the past, I say, about 5 months now. But and it's like evidently, if I just talk about drivel, like how's the weather, nothing will ever happen to me.
Right.
Literally, nothing will ever happen to me. None of my videos will ever get deleted. I'll have never, no problems whatsoever when it comes down to YouTube. If I just sit around and talk about the weather all the time,
Yeah, absolutely.
or
And
put videos of pedophilia or something, I don't know.
yeah, Andrea in the comments said America is a corporation. The end. Well, that's
Well, yeah,
pretty.
that's true. That is true.
It is.
And that's another thing too. When these politicians take an oath, they take an oath to the Constitution of the United States, not the United States of America.
Yeah.
The United States corporation has its own constitution.
Yes. And your words matter and how they're used.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference right there. I mean, if it's like, I'll go back to the way of thinking again, because we have been stuck in this system so long that we don't understand that there's a different way, as the people as a whole, because we've been lied to for so long, and we've been put on this globalist
Path.
trail.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been indoctrinated into our lives. And like I said, I thought I was going deep. I thought I knew the ins and outs and stuff like that, at the, we'll just say, the Alex Jones type level. I
Okay.
thought I was just in the know.
Okay.
But it wasn't until I started learning about the assembly that I went, oh, shit. It goes way deeper and goes into
Yeah.
history so far.
Yeah. I mean, basically back to Lincoln almost. I mean,
Farther.
yeah, probably. But I mean, I mean, literally. I mean, and that's like almost 300 fucking years back of our history in this country. All right.
Mhm.
I mean, there was definitely people here in this land, that came from other countries way before the Constitution was even written or even thought of. So I mean, that's the thing. It's like, for the past 300 some odd years, um, you've had the other side, the opposition, I guess you would call it. I don't know. I don't really know what to, it's hard to actually find labels for this stuff anymore. But anyway, the opposition. The ones that want to destroy everything and rule over everyone. That's the ones I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They've been basically coordinating and um, conspiring pretty much ever since the damn Declaration of Independence. And all. I mean, no, I mean the Constitution was written. All right. And as soon as it was written and things were ratified and blah 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 and all that other stuff, it was like directly the day after they've been doing it. I mean, you get. I mean, and you start looking at what happened in during on Jekyll Island, and what they're willing to do in secret against our will, against our knowledge, and then use force and violence to enforce this shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know.
Just to add to that, I mean, I don't mean to, just
No,
constantly
go
try and
ahead,
one up
dude.
you
I
or
mean, I
anything.
kind of like the conversation, so go ahead.
Well, the whole thing about what we're up against has been, well, up against the people since basically man started civilizations. Now, this goes into that really weird stuff, but
No, fair enough. I'll agree.
this goes really weird because these people who are opposed to us, we'll just call them globalists for easiness.
Okay.
Globalists, from the get-go of civilization, has been communicating with another dimension.
Well,
Now,
I'm not against that idea either, because some of the stuff that I've been digging into when it comes down to research, that you know, it definitely makes me question what the mainstream narrative or belief is when it comes down to that. Because I mean, to the mainstream, that is fucking crazy talk what you're saying.
yes, absolutely.
But the more I've researched, just to find out if this is fucking crazy talk or not, it makes me doubt that that's crazy talk.
Right. Well, ask Joe
Because I
Rogan.
mean, yeah. Well, I mean, but still, even then, it's like, some of the stuff that I've dug into over the years, because I'm into a lot of different subjects, and
Mhm.
a lot of it has to do with the stuff that I've always been interested in electronics. All right. Like I said, I'm a CB radio guy. I like to even mess with the radio equipment. I like to actually get in there and actually mess with the circuitry and all that shit. I like that kind of stuff. I'm more of a hardware type of guy. I'm not a software guy. I'm more of a hardware guy.
Right on.
All right. So I like to get my hands dirty in that stuff. So it's always been an interest of me for electronics. So and then the evolution of, like, cybernetics and robotics and AI over the years, since, because none of that existed when I was a kid. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been watching and observing the evolution of it in my lifetime, and watching closely, because I mean, the when certain technologies get to a certain point, the growth becomes exponential and just and fast as lightning. I mean, like, it becomes faster and faster and faster
Mm-hmm.
on how it grows, how it learns, blah blah blah, whatever, and the evolution of that technology. And the stuff that I was a lot of some of even some of the knowledge of the technology that is being built today is not necessarily coming out of actual humans' heads. This is information that was extracted from other, let's call it places.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be dimension.
What happened? I can't hear you. Uh-oh. Um, well, I mean, the thought control has been in place. I mean, think about it. The perfect scenarios for keeping the masses under control has been in place for the longest time. You could think about it as kings, back in those days. Well, I mean, I guess it's not really back in those days. It's still here today. But kings would always subjugate the peasants, no matter where they were. If there was a nice little town that operated on its own and was actually decent in providing food to their people and everything like that, then uh, immediately a regent would be sent to the area to take it over and basically subjugate the people further. This is the same practice that is being done now. And quite honestly, it's coming from the same people. Yeah, different generations, of course, but same people nonetheless. And they've been essentially, well, like I mentioned, Joe Rogan. What is it called? DMT. This is something that has been known to humans for a long time. And it's, hey, welcome back.
Yeah. You see what happened? All right, hold on. All right, yeah. Let me do something real quick while I'm thinking about it. Maybe I can help prolong some of this stuff. Like I said, this is one of those things that my cell phone will start acting up if I start talking too deep about certain things.
It's not going to help you very much with me on here talking about stuff also.
That's okay. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something here on my end. But give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves or whatever. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was one of the things that I found out. I mean, once I started, I mean, you were talking about the technology. The technology itself, what we know of today, have you noticed a difference in what you were just explaining, how after it gets to a certain point, it doubles, and then it doubles, and it doubles, and it doubles? Did you notice we got to a plateau and kind of, the advanced electronics aren't really as advanced anymore? I mean, this is one of those things where, I've watched the trends and stuff like that, but I can tell you right now, in the past 10 years, cell phones have not improved at all. And as far as you dealing with what you're dealing with it with your cell phones and everybody else's cell phones, you should really think towards moving away from your cell phone. I mean, PCs aren't, perfect or anything, but they are a lot better in giving you control over what you access, rather than the phone that you're wielding right now has constant access and essentially being controlled by all the damn corporations, and you're going to experience the problems with your cell phone because they don't like what you're doing. But if you're not doing anything wrong with it, I'm sure you have perfect reception and all that stuff, where on a PC it gives you more control over what you can do about it. As far as cleaner programs, malware programs, stuff like that, you can find stuff to help keep your computer good to go. Most people know this already. Sorry for repeating it, but it all works in together.
You know what, Bex? That's another thing too. I'm really like on the software part of it, the coding part of it. Now, I personally, if I had the means or I had to know how to do it, I would feel better about, like, for instance, like a malware or some kind of a safety program or whatever to kind of. I would feel better if I built it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I don't trust these people. Like, for instance, like, what is it? What is that one company that's like really popular, whatever, to like, oh shit, what is it? To like save your, your vital information or whatever. I can't remember what company is, but anyway, I don't really know if I trust these companies.
I wouldn't.
With and then so many people are in that, and all that information is all conglomerated, all gathered in one place.
Yeah, the cloud.
Yeah, I don't really trust it, and
You shouldn't.
no, I don't. I mean, I know, but that's the thing. It's like, it, it's like, I just, like I said, I would just like if I built the program, for instance, that like was the to protect me from viruses or whatever
Hmm.
in my computer or some shit like that. Now I'd feel much better about how robust my damn shit is versus whatever I bought off of whatever off the app store or some shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that's another thing too. I don't have the option at the when it comes out. I just don't have the option of like a house computer. So I'm just using a cell phone. Quite
Hmm.
honestly, I wish I could just eliminate the cell phone altogether and go back to a hard line at the house. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? But I use the cell phone to get on the internet. All right, because I mean, I don't watch TV anymore. I haven't watched TV in like freaking 10 years or more, and I watch YouTube,
Hmm.
and YouTube happens to be the only social network on the internet that I'm on. All right. So I mean, it's not like I'm on many different platforms. I'm only on YouTube.
Right.
And then I also not only just use it for entertainment to watch whatever I want to watch, I also use it for a networking scenario.
Right.
I think that's to the opposition is the dangerous part of me because I'm using it for networking. I'm actually talking to people. You know what I mean? This is another thing
Absolutely.
too. It's like how, like for instance, me and you, Vex. I mean, how else would we meet if we didn't have this platform right now?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I
And
mean? And
sorry.
go ahead, man.
Well, I was just going to say, and that's what they're banking on. And that's why cell phones are so prevalent. It's because the convenience of it, for one, plus they've lulled you into a false sense of security, as in everyone,
Yeah. Yes.
saying that you need this. And plus, it's so convenient that
Well,
you don't want to give it up.
well,
And all of what you do goes to the cloud.
it gets people dependent on it also.
Yes.
It's not only, I mean, it becomes, where they have to have it,
Yeah.
you
What's your
know.
drug of choice? It's not just, smoking pot or drinking. It's smoking pot, drinking, or using your cell phone.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll have to say, what is it? Like internet DTs, like withdrawals is real. I mean, I've actually
Yeah.
done it to I've actually experienced it myself. I mean, I could not afford to pay, I'm on a prepaid phone thing, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
every month I got to pay a damn thing, and it's last all whatever. Well, there was, I was kind of really tight and I was like, well, I just figured, I can just go without my cell phone for a month. All right.
Hmm.
I did, but I'm gonna tell you something. I totally experienced that. Like, okay, it's almost like when you quit cigarettes. It's like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yep.
mean, it's like, okay, I gotta find something to occupy my time now because all my time was occupied by being on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
And,
well, I don't have the internet now. I got to figure out something else to do.
yeah. See, and before cell phones came out, it was totally opposite.
I
It was
know.
like it was. Oh, I got to go and use the phone, and you basically made a specific trip to go use the phone. Where before you wanted to use the phone, you were out hanging out with your friends, running around, jumping dirt bikes, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It was anything but sitting on a damn phone.
Right.
And it also puts into see all this stuff is designed to make us fat and stupid.
No, I agree. And that's exact because I mean that's honestly I tell you this, like before cell phones came into play, I memorized and I was able to memorize everybody's phone number.
Yes, critical
Everybody's
thinking.
phone number was in my head. All right. But soon as cell phones came into play, all right, when I got my first flip phone and all that shit, it's like my memory when it comes down to that kind of stuff got shut off and my phone became my memory.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly
mean?
that. It's
It's like
everything doing stuff for you so that you don't have to do it, and then you rely on other things,
right,
just like an addiction in itself. You rely on something else to fulfill that need.
right.
It's false. I mean, I still remember every phone number from when I was younger, when everybody had landlines. I still remember my high school buddy's phone number. I
You
remember this
literally can
chick.
remember that today.
Yes, I
I
remember this
can't.
chick I
I
used to
can't.
talk to. I remember all their phone numbers
I
from
can't.
back in the
I
day.
cannot remember any. I couldn't. I can't even tell you what my old phone number used to be. I
Uh,
mean,
I,
I don't remember any of that shit for some reason.
well, see, I have a leg up though because I never went into the fancy cell phones. I got a flip phone and never went any farther. So
Well,
I got a little bit of a leg up on most people.
well,
And
the only reason I switched to a smartphone or whatever, like, the main reason why I did that, all right, this is about 10 or 11 years ago, all right, and this is when I still had a flip phone at the time, all right,
Mhm,
and it was going through the last solar cycle. We're going through a solar cycle right now, but the last one beforehand, about 10 or 11 years ago.
mhm,
All right. I was talking to some people on the radio that are well, the one man person in particular. He lived in Eden, Australia. All right, I was sitting there and we would have conversations every single day, probably about an hour long, just because the conditions were good. I mean,
mhm,
conditions are good enough to where it was like talking to our neighbor, you know what I mean, down the street. And I'm talking
right.
all the way to freaking Australia, all right, down by Tasmania. That's how far away I was talking. And it was like, it was awesome.
Nice.
And me and him, we were sitting there having a conversation, and he was like, "Dude, I got on this brand new thing called Facebook. I just found it, and all this other stuff." He was telling me about it. He's like, "Man, this is so cool, and all this other stuff, man. You need to get on this thing, man, because even if conditions on the radio aren't any good, we can still text each other and send videos and blah 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 and all this other stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, I
Mhm,
guess." Well, he convinced me to get into it. So what I did is I ended up buying a smartphone just so I can get on to Facebook. All right. And the only reason I got on Facebook is because I wanted to be in contact with some of my radio buddies, him in particular. When the conditions aren't right, we can still text each other and all that stuff and all, I'm still keeping to communicate with everybody around the world and all that other stuff, even without the radio. So I was like, that was pretty cool because, and then on top of that, um, me and my buddy in Australia, we used to make video gates of our conversation. Like, for instance, we will be having a conversation on the radio. All right. He will make a video of the conversation from his end. I will make a video from the conversation from my end, and then we'd share it with each other.
mm,
So I can hear what I sound like in Australia, and he can hear what he sounds like in Florida. You know what I mean?
right on.
And it actually became pretty cool because I started doing it with a lot of my radio guys back in the day. All right. And
Mhm,
but I mean, long story short, I mean, me and Facebook just don't get along. That's why I haven't been on Facebook since then. Pretty much, I was only on it for like about a year, maybe. But anyway, um, but I kind of sort of tried to do the same thing on YouTube, but it's not quite the same type of interaction
right.
when it comes down to that. And I mean, there are other radio guys that have their own YouTube channel and stuff like that and all that. And we all, you know, have done video gates of this and that, whatever. But it's not like where we're sitting there, comment, which I think I would like to change. I've thought about this too, where I can get a bunch of radio guys and we can get on a panel on a live stream and talk about radio shit. I have yet to see any. Well, I mean, I've seen some of the ham guys do it, but not anybody on the CB end of it do it.
Right.
But even then, I was like, it's like it'd be kind of cool if I was doing a live stream and if I was on the radio talking to somebody like in another state or another country, and they got um, they got on my live stream on a panel at the same time while we're talking to each other through the radio at the same time. I just think that was kind of. But anyway, it's all to me. It's all about communications. All right.
Mhm,
And even me, back in the day, I was a part of a pirate radio station, and also, I've been experimenting with pirate television stations, just another way of communications. You know what
mhm,
I mean? And and that's the networking scenario, the angle when it comes down to YouTube for me is that communications part of it. And because honestly, this, George Carlin said it the best. It's like the powers that should not be in a sense. They don't want a well-educated, well-informed populace. because there's no good for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the reason why they're trying to shut us up and delete our stuff and this and that and all that stuff. It also reminds me of another quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's like, you can cut someone's tongue out. It will not prove that they're wrong. It just proves that you're afraid of what they're going to say.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to cut my tongue out. They're not
Yep.
proving that I'm fucking wrong. They're claiming that I'm wrong, but they're not proving it. They're just
Right.
proving that they're scared of what I have to say. Evidently I'm hitting some fucking nerves. I'm hit, you know what I mean? I might, like I said, I might not be the most articulate when it comes down to certain things. I'm not the most pleasant person to listen to. You know what I mean? When it comes down to my language sometimes, especially if I get into a passionate type mode,
Something to get you going.
yeah, I mean I let the profanity, it just the way I speak normally anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, if I kind of relate it to the radio. Now, if I want to be respectful to everybody else on the radio, which I try to do here on YouTube also, I'll try to minimize, if not, stop all profanity altogether. But I got to sit there and think about what I'm trying to say every time. Otherwise,
Yeah.
if I just let it fly and just like speak from the heart, whatever, just let it fly, it's going to have some colorful language.
Yeah.
All right.
Bombs left and right.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, and I don't care. And if people got sensitive ears, whatever, it's not my problem. It's actually a problem they need to address on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the thing about the free speech thing. It's like, there are people on YouTube that it would be okay. I wouldn't care if they're gone, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit there and try to delete them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to try and sit there and get them deleted. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, because I think, in my opinion, they have a right to say what they want to say. I might not like what they got to say, and I think they're shit, and I will ridicule them, and I will sit there and make fun of them and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to try and stop them from doing what they're doing.
Right.
And that's another thing that bothers me. I mean, I've been observing this like all over YouTube, and when it comes down to it, and people having this thing, it's like thinking it's a thing to, like, like, hey, let's get that channel deleted, or let's get that this that, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't like what they're saying. That needs to be going away. You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are really thinking about, okay, if you're willing to do that to that person over there, are you okay with others doing it to you?
Well, that requires critical thinking, and they don't think that far.
Right.
That,
Well, I mean,
that's the
because I
whole
mean, that's what
problem.
they're asking. It's like, they're what is that one quote? It's like, an injustice to one man is an injustice to all men.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're basically, if people are willing to delete, or others, they're saying, okay, I'm okay with others deleting me.
Mm-hmm. But they
You
don't
know?
think that way.
No, 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 no. Because I mean, honestly, that's where it's at. Because I mean, if it becomes the norm, this modern day book burning is what I call it, because that's basically what they're doing.
Yes.
They're basically coming in and systematically picking everything up with a certain type of content and burning it out here in the middle of the street. And it's like, okay, this is what's going to happen to you guys if you keep putting this shit up, dude. And that's another thing too. There's a recently a brand new leaked information that came out just recently, that where a lot of the law enforcement around the country and all that stuff are getting this information on, when it comes down to different groups that are supposedly, quote unquote, this radical right, blah blah blah, freedom type peoples or whatever. Anyway, the different stuff that they've classified, the different types of flags that these groups associate with, types of wording, certain phrases, certain types of just mentioning of different peoples. It's a flag. It puts you on a list.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And every single, and this is the thing too, when you start reading into this, All right. It makes me think that anybody that um thinks any of that stuff that they listed was actually wrong, or I don't know how to put it. I think anybody that is against anything that they listed is pretty much not an American. They're not. They're not. They're not part of the American values and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's totally against it, because that's exactly what everything they listed was basically the true, a lot of the true American values of how this country, is supposed to be, in a sense, how it
Well,
was supposed to be from the beginning and how it's supposed to be today, but it isn't, because it's been thwarted over, generations,
it's been legalese to
you
death.
know. Right. Exactly. I mean, and that's the weapon that's the weapon of choice right now, is the words, and it brings me
And
back
that's why
down
they
to
keep
the
changing the
definitions.
meanings. Yeah.
Exactly. Just the whole definitions of fucking words. I had an argument one time. Well, I would say it was more of a heated conversation with some of my family once. All right. And we were talking about different words and stuff like that. And how like um my it's family member kept on saying, well, that's just like well, that's not how I interpret that, or this and that, or whatever. It's like, well, the way I see it is like, words
Interpret.
have definitions and have meanings. All right, it's not subjective, to like, or up for interpretation, you
Right.
know. So, but if everything is up for interpretation, or what I mean, and people can just decide, well, I think it means that, or that I think the definition is that, not that. Well, that
Hmm.
means just like, well, then words have no meaning at all. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? You know what
Same
I
thing
mean?
with being called a racist nowadays. It means nothing anymore
It has
because they.
no meaning at all, because that
Yep.
label has been put on every single facet of everything. It doesn't matter if you're just if you're if you don't put green fucking paint in your hair, you're a racist. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
come on, give me a freaking hair.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. That's the whole thing about it. I mean, I wasn't. I should have put more emphasis on this because we have to change our way of thinking. Because right now we are thinking in accordance to how they want us to think, and it's being done on a massive level, and it's
yeah,
been done for a long time. This is
that's the
not
thing,
something that's a light switch has been flipped. No, no, this is gradual through the generations.
right? Well, that's another thing too. To reverse that is going to take the same amount of time, if not longer, unfortunately. But to defeat that, and I mean, to how to battle that. Like I said, this is one way, and the powers that should not be know it, because they're deleting my videos.
Yes.
But this is one way that we can put a monkey wrench in the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
But
talk to as much as possible, talk to
right,
as
but
many
there's
people as possible.
other ways to do it. I don't know personally, because I mean, I got an imagination. I can think of a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
But like I said, everybody's got their own talent, their own skill, their own way of doing things. And it might not be the way I would do it, or even imagine it to be done. But
Right.
everybody's got their own way of putting a monkey wrench in the whole system, because, like I said, the system is very vast and big. It's got a lot of moving parts. And when there's moving parts, that's a failure point. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yes.
And and I mean, because I just relate it to machines or electronics. When the more moving parts, the more likely it's going to fail. You know what I mean? On those
Yes.
parts where they're moving parts, and this thing's got massive amount of moving parts.
Yeah, to the
And
point they end up counteracting each other sometimes.
yes, well, that's the reason why my gut tells me, all right, when they release the chaos, because they are going to release the chaos, because that is part of the plan, because to build back better, you've got to destroy everything first to build it back better.
Yeah.
All right. The thing is, it's like my gut tells me when they release the chaos, it's going to turn on them. They're expecting they're going to come out unscathed or untouched or any of that shit, or have immunity. No, I
No.
mean, my gut tells me, and my gut never lies. My head, my heart, and my dick will, but my gut never lies to me. My gut tells me it's going to backfire on all of them. You know,
Absolutely. I mean, you've already seen the bits and pieces to that in mainstream media. I mean, it's
yeah,
becoming more and more well known that how well cognitively dysfunctional Biden is, and people are starting to see it in real time,
right.
and that's the problem.
But even then, it's like, okay, check this out. All right, if he goes, the next in line is Kamala's. All right, all right. If she goes, the next in line is Nazis,
Yes.
Pelosi's. All right. All right. That's all three choices are fucking really bad for everybody altogether.
But what
You know
most
what I
people
mean?
don't realize is that all three of those choices are the same choice.
Well, I knew that. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's another thing too. See, that's another thing too. Most people don't even understand, like the president and the vice president, how they get their job. All right. The people voting is nothing more than a litmus test on how the people fucking feel about shit. It doesn't do anything on the actual process on how it actually get their job,
Yeah.
because how they get their job is by the electoral college. And the electoral college is not elected. They're appointed by the legislature. All right. That's how they
Hmm.
get their job, is they're voted in by the electoral college. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how we vote, and the electoral college don't even have to vote on how their fucking constituents in the fucking state vote. They don't care.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. They can vote any way they want to.
Yeah. It's a
All right.
bastardization of the way it should be.
Well, the thing is like this so-called representation. It's bullshit.
Hmm.
This consent of the governed. Well, there's no consent because nobody really give any consent. They were just convinced this is what we have to do by mandatory. It's like, oh, you got it. I mean, you want to
Yeah.
get a car, you want to get a car to go out here and go back and forth to wherever you want to go to. Oh, that's mandatory. You got to get a driver's license.
Yeah, and
You
you
know,
must register it, and you
you
must do
must it. You
this. Yeah,
must. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Or
That's just
else,
the way it's
or
done.
else we'll pull you over and harass you at
Yeah,
gunpoint.
we'll use violence against you if you don't. You know what I mean? You technically, legally, or lawfully don't have to, but you're being hoodwinked into thinking that you have to, and then you got this fear aspect. It's like, okay, well, I don't really want violence against me. I don't really want to go be kidnapped and then thrown into a cage. I don't want that to happen, so I'll comply with their mafia tactics of demands.
Hmm.
You
Silence is
know,
acquiescence.
right? Well, okay, like I said, self-defense can be very violent, and violence can be used for good. So why in the fuck do people think that evil, or whatever you want to call it, has a monopoly on violence?
Because that's part of the propaganda stream that we're all being
Right,
fed. We're all being
right.
quelled, calmed.
Yeah, domesticated into fucking docile animals is like, okay, well, we can't do nothing. This is how it is.
Yeah.
Why don't
It
even try.
it goes back to what I was saying earlier about Democrat, Republican. It's all
Right,
a false corporation. It doesn't matter. They're doing
right.
what they want to do, and they are not consulting the people, which they are supposed to. And they've made it okay to do so because they've got the media locked down, so that any opposition they can label.
And see, that's another thing too. And it brings me back also to the YouTube scenario and my damn videos and shit. Now, all of this for everybody at the click of a fucking mouse can be fucking gone.
Yes.
And that's the problem right there is, and like the dependence on it. Some people depend on this as a fucking making a living, dude.
Yeah.
I've never really gotten to that point where I wouldn't really go through like monetization anyway. If I was to make a living using YouTube, I'd do it a different way. But I don't rely on YouTube to fucking make a living,
Right.
because that could be, YouTube say, fuck you. I don't care. We'll just delete you. You wanting
Yeah.
to make a living, put a roof over your head, feed your kids? Ah, shit. I don't care. You know what I mean? In a
Yeah.
blink of an eye, it'll all be gone. And then on top of that, the whole damn system in it all together, you know, and that's what's kind of scary too for me. Um, I wonder how much I have forgotten, and I wonder how much I really am depending on the internet if it all was totally just gone, period, for long periods of time, like it was just gone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because honestly, like I said, when I was talking about the phone numbers, there's a lot of shit I used to memorize. It was easy for me to memorize back in the day. Now it's
Hmm.
harder for some reason because I got the damn cell phone. And then
Hmm.
even the information, I do, like I said, I mean, I used to be able to, I used to go to the libraries or whatever and all that shit and fucking try to find information or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't do that anymore. And then even then, it's like going into libraries now. It's like, uh,
Almost forgotten how to do it, huh?
well, shit, they don't do like the old Dewey Decimal System anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, how do I find fucking what I want to find? And then on top of that, a lot of stuff they're not even in book form anymore. It's on digital. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm like, golly. And then on top of that, that could be altered. That's actually
Yep.
been actually uh, it's been proven that stuff like that has been altered. Like they'll do like scans of books. They'll mishold chapters or things after it's been digitized have been altered, like words and stuff.
I
And
can
it's
give you
like,
an
what the?
example.
Yeah, go ahead.
The example is something I mentioned earlier, the 13th Amendment. They almost wiped it clean from existence. Try and find the 13th Amendment. It'll be difficult. You can, but it'll be very, very difficult.
I'm still trying to remember right offhand what that one is.
It,
Uh, that,
it's it's about no titles of nobility or anything like that is supposed to hold office in the United States.
oh
They got
yeah,
rid of that because lawyers are well, essentially out of the bar, which is through the crown,
right,
and which enables them. They are lawyers, esquire, which is a title of
noble,
nobility.
right,
Now we did that on purpose, the 13th Amendment, to keep all the you know titles of nobility out of our system because it was supposed to be we the people, for the people, by the people. It was supposed to be that way. And so they had to figure out a way to get it. Well, the only way they could do that is to compound the ignorance of the people and then get rid of it in secret. So they did. Now we have lawyers all over the freaking place, and that's our downfall because uh, they aren't, they don't, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not looking for us to, tell them what to do and stuff like that. They look towards the bar. They go according to the bar. You notice anyone who's ever been in court being represented by a lawyer, you are not being represented. That lawyer will kiss that judge's ass and then turn to you and tell you what you should be thinking.
right.
You're at the mercy of the court. And that's not the
Well,
way it should be. Laws should not need an interpreter to understand. And that's what a lawyer is, an interpreter for the law.
right.
And
Well, see, that's the
that's
thing.
not
It's
the way
like
it should be. It should
uh,
be us standing up on our own because the laws are not complicated and we understand them fully because it's simple as, thou shalt not kill. That's pretty easy to understand, except for the translation was messed up a long time ago. It's actually thou shalt not murder, not kill.
right,
But that's the same thing. It goes into the same thing. It's us being cowed into believing that they know best and not us looking it up for ourselves. That's the whole drawback to everyone right now in America. Alarm. Okay. But that's the whole drawback to America as it is right now, is keeping people ignorant of what they should know. We didn't have lawyers all over the place back in the day of the founding fathers. And if we
well, no, I
did,
mean the whole thing is like it was supposed to, like, that's the whole thing of like the trial is
Mhm,
the actual people, that were actually, a
of your
part of the
community.
Hudson. Yeah, it was a part of that, and it was part of this. See, they don't want. the majority of it to go to trial, because they're because if they can do everything before all that stuff, they can gather their revenue through that,
Yeah.
and all that shit, because that's where the you know yeah.
They'd rather
Just
just have you pay
right.
than actually, go,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute,
Right.
this doesn't seem right," because it's a money-making scheme.
Yeah.
They're making, I wish I hadn't just woke up a little while ago, but, they're they're, um, they're making it so that, uh, it's a perpetual money-making scam. I mean, just like, we were talking about with the driver's license,
Right.
registration, insurance, all
Yep.
that stuff on your vehicle. All
Yep.
that, we don't have to do that. Look up the 18 US codes. There's no mention of any of that. So when you bring it to them, even a cop, you'll explain it to them. According to the 18 US codes, only commercial vehicles have to be, registered. He'll look at you like you're a three-headed alien
Well, yeah. I
because
mean, even if
he's
you were
not
to read
taught.
them, yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
even if you read the motor vehicle code, I mean, it's
Hmm.
the same thing.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's what I did. I mean, I went into the court and beat my, not having a license on my vehicle because I quoted the 18 U.S. codes to them, saying, "You can show me, where it says that I have to have registration. I'll do it, but they can't because there's nothing saying that they do." Now, if you're a commercial vehicle, you make money, transport people, products, whatever, then yes, it has to be regulated and for
Yeah.
safety, nothing else. But I am a individual living soul. I'm not a
Right.
commercial vehicle. It's a personal vehicle, and I don't have to register my vehicle to travel because we have a right to what? Free travel.
Right. It's under, yeah. It's under, what is it? I think it's under the provision of basically life, liberty, and property liberty. Like under
Huh?
the 14th Amendment, I think it was around that.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's there for us, but none of us take the time to learn it because we basically shove it off on somebody else to do it for us. And
yeah.
then whenever we need to access it, we go to that person and say, "Please explain it to me."
That's another thing that I was sitting there also talking about when it comes into this damn internet and cell phone shit. You know what I mean? A lot of that information that people don't know, if they want to find it, this is how they would do it. Because right at this moment, I mean, quite honestly, no one really has an excuse to be ignorant about any of this shit because they got all this information at their fucking fingertips. You know what I mean? At
Hmm.
this moment. You know what I mean? But like I said, all that can be taken away in a blink of a fucking eye. And right now, they're systematically, little by every, picking here and there and all that stuff. Eventually, there's be nothing left. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I mean, there could be a fucking, there could be a moment where the internet altogether goes down for a long period of time. And when and if it comes back, it will not be anything like what we know now. I mean,
It's true.
honestly, when it becomes like when it reboots on after that period of being down, and this is for like the whole goddamn country. I'm just speaking for the country because this is what I'm at. I have no idea what it's going to do to the whole world, but when it comes down, because I'm like, even for instance, Russia, they have their own internet, but it's not
Hmm.
the same as what we got. It's kind of got like a wall around it, and it's
Yeah.
all localized in their area.
It's like an
And
office building's intercommunications.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just, it's So if our country would, it wouldn't affect them at all. It wouldn't affect China at all either. It wouldn't affect them. They got their own shit going on over there too. And
Well, I don't know if you remember this or hold on, let me actually see if it actually still does it. If you go into do a search or something like that, then yeah, well, at the top it usually is, right now, like mine says, search all images, news, video, and Google or
mhm,
goggles, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what that is. But back in the day, it used to have local and then internet and then the rest of the little tabs. The local part was actually your area, just like what you were talking about that Russia has. It was
mhm.
basically your local search, and now that's been taken off your search browsers. As far as I know, anyway, so that you don't want to search local. It's all worldwide instead. So everybody's being funneled towards this big, well, cloud
Right.
instead of doing local stuff.
Right.
And whenever they do searches and stuff like that, nobody wants to actually get into the meat and potatoes of the article or video or whatever. They read the headlines, and that's good enough for them. So
Yeah.
that's how they've gotten this lock on all this propaganda and making everybody stupid. They've gotten everybody dependent on other people to tell them what's what.
Mm.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. Because honestly, man, there are actually people out there that don't know how to make a fucking fire, and they're actually going on YouTube to learn how to make a fucking fire.
Yeah. I had a personal instance in my family. I have a young cousin in her early teens, and she was helping her mom out in the kitchen. All right. And basically, she needed the mom needed a can opened. It's pretty simple, you would think. Well, that young teen had no idea how to use a manual can opener. Couldn't even conceive of it. She stood there for about a good 10 minutes just trying to figure it out until her mom said, I'll just do it. And I went, no, make her figure it out. This is part of what she's going to need to learn when she's older. I mean, this is something real simple that she was just like, I don't understand it. And I'm like, well, understand it. It's not difficult. Figure it out. It's almost like a 1 + 1 = 2 scenario. Yeah. You're not going to get many different answers.
You remember the old cassette tapes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You remember the old plastic cases they used to come in and stuff? All right. I saw somebody sitting there fiddling for 15 minutes on trying to figure out how to open one of those things. I mean, seriously, they didn't know what it was in the first place. They didn't know what the damn the cassette tape. They didn't know what that was. And then on top of that, they didn't know how to get into the damn case. They didn't know how to open it. You know, I was like, dude, you got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, and it's made people stupid.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. Is if, like, when it comes down to right at this moment, nobody has an excuse to be ignorant. But if it's all just gone, all right, and the level of ignorance that people have right now, and not able to actually do this, like this, what do you call it? When you can actually like figure things out. You know what I mean? I don't know what they would call that. You know what I mean? That
well, it's just regular critical thinking.
Yeah, intuitive, like, I don't know what you would call it. But anyway, yeah. Problem solving. That's something like
there you go.
There you go. But that ability is basically, nobody's learning how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll even give you this too. Research. Just the ability to research hasn't, like, for especially the younger generation. And I mean, I might be wrong. I mean, there's some that just totally, give me hope for humanity. But on an overall general sense, it's like even just the ability to like figure out how to research. Even me, I'll have to admit, you know what I mean? It took me a lot of years to kind of, because everything changed from like when I was younger. Like the only thing we had was a system and in the library, and then how it's evolved to now. I mean, I'll give you another example on how I learned how to get a job. Does not apply today.
Yeah,
put it that way.
That's for sure.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's just weird.
Yeah, you go in and talk to somebody, say, yeah, are you guys hiring? Yeah, we are. Oh, can I get an application or whatever? And they go, well, yeah, it's all online. I'm like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, even the way I learned how to do it when I was younger, when I was a kid, the way I learned how to get a job, it's not the same thing. And I'll tell you this: every application I've actually tried to do on the internet for jobs, I've never gotten a call back.
Yeah.
So it's not even worth it to me.
No,
you know
what
I mean?
I've always been an in-person type of person. If I needed to straighten out an electric bill, I went down to the electric company, talked to the people there face to face, and figured out the problem. Because even on the phone, it doesn't convey what it should. That person who is trying to fix something for you should understand that, this is very, you know, aggravating at very least. And it conveys humanity, because that person knows that that person is agitated. But on the phone, it doesn't matter because you're so far away. I don't care if you're agitated or not.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes everything much more cold, impersonal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's another thing that I have an issue when it comes on even the internet. People think like, okay, I can hide behind this keyboard. You know what I mean? I can say whatever the hell I want to say, and nobody can do anything about it. And I mean, it's nothing new because I mean, even on the CB radio, I mean, I had people out there fucking hiding behind a microphone for years, talking to shit, and creating hate and discontent and all this other crap,
Hmm.
and just because they think they're untouchable and nobody can find them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's nothing new. It's been happening forever, but now it's just on this medium basically. You know what I mean? And that to me, I don't see any positive um, um, anything positive coming out of that. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I mean,
Huckleberry.
how do we um, evolve into something, I guess, better than we are now if we continue to bring our pull each other down. You
Well,
know what I mean?
you remember the change in our industry that went from, producing things to a service industry. That was the beginning of the downfall of, well, sanity and people's IQ. Because once we did that, that took the critical thinking out of people's minds. And the critical thinking is what made America great. Was the people coming together with different ideas and mashing it up with other people's ideas and making something happen. And in the beginning of the internet, that was actually a good thing because people from across the world were able to talk to people across the world
Right.
and
Well, yeah.
convey their ideas and get feedback from other people who are trying to work on the same thing. I mean, it can encourage cooperation, but what we have now discourages cooperation and puts everybody against each other. Now, if we can, I mean, I'm kind of spinning off on a tangent. I'll get back to what I was saying.
No, go
Huckleberry put
ahead.
in there real quick. Um, the difference is we wanted to work, and today nobody wants to work. They just look for the handouts. That's exactly right. If you're going to get everything handed to you, why should you try?
Right.
Adversity makes strength. I'll go ahead and stop there.
No, I mean you're right. I mean, my work ethic. And that's how I had learned it on as I was growing up. You know what I mean? And but one of my things, for instance, is I'll give you an example that when I go to work, I've always learned that the best way to be on time is be 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
Um, I've also, when it comes down to it, even if you don't have anything to do at that moment, at least make yourself look like you're doing something.
Exactly. Even
you
that's
know,
lost today.
right? Because
I
I
mean,
mean, seriously, we hired at the job that I'm working, which that reminds me, in about 40 minutes I'm gonna have to dip out of here. But um, we hired a guy just for a helper, a 20-year-old kid. All right, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm sitting there busting ass welding all night and stuff like that. And every once in a while, I happen to, we've got a lot of stuff that we got to do. All right, and I've got at the now as of this new that would be two helpers to help me do stuff like grinding stuff and blah 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 blah. Well, last
right.
night I'm sitting there doing my thing, and I'm sitting there listening to what's going on around me at the same time, and I should be hearing two grinders going at the same time, and I'm not.
Right.
I'm only hearing one. And I happen to pop up and I see this kid sitting next to the damn trailer on his damn cell phone texting somebody. I'm sitting there, I wanted to just go there and knock this shit out of him. You know what I mean? The
Right.
only problem is like the way I am, if my boss gives me the authority to say anything, I will make that kid cry and go home. You know what I mean? Because seriously, that's the way I will, after a night of sweating my ass off and I'm frustrated and all this other shit, and you want to pull that, I will jump down your throat. You know, it's like, we're not paying you to stand here and text on your fucking cell phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to continue working here, you're going to have to actually get your ass out here into work. Otherwise, get your ass back out there on the damn road. You know, there ain't no reason for it. You know what I
8
mean?
hours of work, 8 hours of pay.
Well, the thing is, it's like, I don't understand this. Okay, they don't get where this money's coming from when it comes down to it. You know, this called the stimulus or this fucking handout, whatever you want to call it. All right, where in the
Yep.
fuck this money comes from? All right, and then technically it's not even money; it's a debt, and you're creating more debt for the generations ahead. Like, put it this way: your great
Mhm.
great 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 grandchildren that aren't even born yet. Not even their parents aren't even born yet. They're already in debt. Okay, that's how they're
Yep.
playing it.
To the corporation.
Like, exactly, that's how they're playing it. And if you actually, when it comes down to anybody that goes along with this, in a sense, goes along with this whole thing, you are creating, in which some people don't give a shit. You know what I mean? They'll be like, I don't care. Hell, I'm old. I don't care. I'll be dead soon. It won't matter to me anyway. Blah blah blah. They're not thinking about the future generations and this, or they may, or they don't care. You know what I mean? I'm not going to
It's
assume what to think, what they're thinking, but you see what
yeah,
I'm saying?
it's the selfish generations. I mean, we've been taught to be selfish. And, fake it to make it, till you make it, all
Hmm.
this, the Kardashians. I mean, everything has been pointing towards a superficial lifestyle. And that's what the cities promote in itself, is a superficial lifestyle, because you think, yeah, I live in the city and my life is real important. No, it's not. You're just one of many. And people don't understand that this is all being done to make us not care, to make us not do anything, so that they have their cattle that they can just herd at will,
Right. Yeah.
whether it's to another pasture or to the slaughterhouse.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's I'm kind of reminded on that whole social aspect when I talk to my dogs.
Huh.
I mean, literally, I have these moments when I'm sitting here trying to explain to my dog. I talk to my dogs like they were people, and they do understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Some of them, they ignore me or they don't care or whatever. They got their own attitudes like everybody else.
Right.
But I start thinking about it when I try to discipline them or teach them. I'm reminded of these same social aspects on how the so-called parasites should not be treat the regular or the everybody else
Yeah.
like a fucking dog, like a because I mean, I don't see my dogs as lesser than me. They're just different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're not able to think more than like maybe a 5, 6, 7, 8 year old. That's about as far as their thinking goes. Their mental capacity. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So they need help. You know what I mean? I mean, they're not stupid where they can't take care of themselves, but
Right.
still, they've grown up with other people taking care of them all their lives. So it's that genetically, even then, over a bunch of breedings and stuff. That's all they know. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Domestication.
Instinctively. You know what I mean? Which that's what the thing is here. It's like trying to breed that instinctive reaction into humans that we have to be taken care of.
Yeah.
and we don't have the ability to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, we must always look to an authority figure to take care of us.
Right.
And that's what they want. That's the end game, so that they can control us at will.
Right. And this idea of this digital currency and all this shit, that's even further into it. I mean, also, man, you get further into this debt scenario and this future generations being like indentured servitude crap.
Hmm. Yeah, no actual currency, all debt.
Right. I mean, and then on top of that, it gets closer and closer to the Chinese aspect of the social credit score and all that shit. And that's another thing when I talk about everything, your whole life can be gone in the click of a fucking mouse.
Yeah.
Your whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the way they made it. Now, in the beginning, the internet was, you know as well as I do, the Wild West. And the more that they, basically did psychological studies and all that stuff, I say they as in the government, um, they they understood how humans acted, and they made this stuff accordingly. Facebook, is from the CIA. YouTube, I mean,
Well, if you actually dig into it, man, I'm gonna tell you something. The whole damn internet system was created for the military in the first place, the government
right.
military in the first place. That's where its origins start. All right, and then they just made other parts of it. I guess you can say consumer and public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the whole origins in the first place was military. All right, and if anybody is actually thinking that still isn't in play, that whole, because I mean, the control aspect has always been in their ball because they've had control over it for the whole time.
Hmm.
All right.
Well, it was harder for them to actually control it. That's why it was so wide open and everything in the
Well, that's the
beginning.
thing. That's what they're trying to rein in they're trying to rein in the control now. That's
Yeah,
what they're
they're
doing
funneling
with it.
everybody.
Yeah. That's what they're doing with all this like systematic either deletion of certain videos or information or channels altogether. And I'm just
Yeah.
speaking of YouTube, because like I said, I haven't been on Facebook in like over 10 years. So, I mean, I don't know how it's acting now, but me and Facebook have never gotten along.
I understand that. Uh, yeah, the problem with it is that we've been funneled into these certain areas of the internet. There are parts of the
Well,
internet, I mean, we all know, that are a lot more free than what
well,
we're dealing with now. Think about it like this: each section of the internet, the addresses that you put in. If you put in a .com, that's commercial part of the internet. If you put .net, that's supposed to be the more open part of the internet. And there's also other dots that you can use. I mean, there's plenty of areas of the internet, but everybody knows .com
right.
because you've been designed to look at .com first, and that's where
Well,
they
I
have
mean,
all their
remember the
control.
.com bubble and stuff like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like that was ingrained in a lot of people. Just the .com thing was ingrained in people's heads because of that.
Hmm.
It was such a sensationalized.
Well, hell, there for a while, I thought .com was the internet. There was no more to it, and then people started saying .net and all this other stuff, and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what? I don't get it. What do you mean .net? It's all .com. No, it's not. .com is just a part of the internet.
Well, I mean, that's another thing too. But the whole damn thing, like I said, when it comes down to like how it's all connected and actually in place, I mean, it would take a full spectrum close down to shut the whole damn thing down. But
Hmm.
it can be done.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
that's the other thing too. And you know, and the when it comes down to like the AI, it uses the cloud as the neural network of its mind in a sense.
Yeah.
All right, that's where it lives anyway. Is in the cloud. All and that's how all AI, different AI or ASI or AGI, whatever, wherever level they're at, how they all communicate with each other is through the cloud, and
Mm-hmm.
through like blockchain, Ethereum, and all this other stuff. Man, when it comes down to it, um, if you start looking at the actual technology, um, I am still kind of like a novice. I don't know a lot about the software part of it, but I look at the hardware part of it personally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And what certain things or different things is capable or whatever to do, whatever. Um, but that's the reason why I started looking into the actual hardware technology of like the evolution into that quantum computer. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And there's a lot of has to do with like that was not human made, and I can't tell you exactly where the information came from or how it came about exactly, because I don't really have any proof exactly. I think the only ones that know about it are the ones that are involved. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And even then, some of those have probably been killed off. You know
Most
what I
likely.
mean? Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's like, um, um, one of the things when it comes down to a lot of this information was to get to a point where you know we as that tax cattle are just not necessary any longer, where they don't really need us anymore, because once our usefulness is over with, they don't need us anymore. They can just do whatever they want. They can kill us off and blah 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 whatever, because and the eventual plan is so they can the elite can actually rule forever. All right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they want to be able to do that internal life thing, that fountain of youth scenario, this, that kind of thing. Well, it's like basically the reason why the AI and this cybernetics and robotics and all that stuff is advancing such it's a high fast pace with the ones that have the financial means to do so. Um, that to me, it's like the new arms race.
Mm.
Because honestly, man, honestly, if whoever has that control over that will it be more dangerous than nukes are, in my opinion.
Mm.
Well, I mean,
Well, there are a lot of things in life right now that are way more dangerous than nukes.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like if they get to the point where they can actually transfer a consciousness from a human body into a robotic or computer, uh, then they will be able to basically live forever.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
At
All
least
right.
in a certain form, yes.
Well, yeah, in the basically digital form. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, they are, and they can be copied. You think about it. You can be mass produced out of you. Once you've got your consciousness downloaded into something, then you can just, you know, copy bits and pieces and into
Agent Smiths.
clones. Yeah, into clones or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That thing is, it's like that's what they're trying to move to. That's the reason why the Neuralink with Elon Musk and blah 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 and all this other stuff was they're trying to get to that technology to where we are connected to that. And you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
it'll make us easier to control once then. Because you think about it, what I mean, hell, fucking Bill Gates is trying to, be the king of the vaccines and human bodies, but he can't even keep a fucking virus out of a computer. All right. And the thing is, too, is like these motherfuckers are wanting to hook us up to this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you think about like a cracker, like a guy that wants to go in and actually do malicious intent. What if he did that in your head?
Yeah.
I mean, has anybody actually thought that that would, that the very real possibility?
Well,
I mean,
that's
because
something they will not talk about because they know it's a possibility. The difference is that they know that they can crack your head once that they get you
mm-hmm,
wired up. So, I mean, you
right,
want to know what the end game is? The end game is to actually terraform the Earth so that these beings that they've been
yeah,
talking to in another dimension, so that they can come through and live here, because where
yeah.
they're at is not where they want to be.
No, I agree because I mean, I've been observing that also on how the manipulation of different stuff here on the planet when it comes down to weather
Mm,
and
absolutely. I mean, what sane person would want to block out the sun?
right.
That
What I'm saying?
makes no damn sense whatsoever. They want to cut down all the damn trees. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
all
yeah,
counterintuitive.
yeah, making the whole planet into a desert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Basically.
and if they keep going, I mean, basically what they want is to, well, like I said, for generations they've been meddling with Earth's affairs because, like I was saying about DMT and stuff like that, there are ways to access other dimensions. Not
Right.
necessarily basically the best way to try and do it always is to meditate. You can get yourself on a different frequency and actually do it without taking anything else.
Right.
But all these shamans, all these medicine men and healers of ancient times were connecting with this dimensional entity or entities. Now, they could have on their side the same difference in personalities that humans do. So you have to keep that in your mind also. Some of them are trying to help. Some of them want to turn this into a wasteland so they can escape where they're at.
This is what bothers me, is that they are making deals with these beings to gain information technology and stuff like that. But what are they willing to give up, all right, in exchange for these information, this technology, and to these people, these things, whatever they are? I don't know these beings. Best way to call it, I guess.
Yeah.
The non-binaries.
But well, these guys. Okay, the trade-off is this. I mean, they know how monetary we are. Our existence is very monetary. So, I mean, if you're offered how to design a microchip back in the 50s, well, you're going to take it. And in return, we need you to try and get people more like these people over here, that are warring with each other and stuff like that. Keep different factions of people in factions and fighting each other so that you can reduce population down. They know that if they get here and there's a bunch of us, they have no chance because we'll defeat them. I mean, it's a totally different universe thinking of it that way. That they are coming from there to here.
Right.
So they would be at a disadvantage when they get here. So they have to have everything locked down before that happens.
Exactly. They have to have all the infrastructure in place, ready for them when they get here. I mean, see, that's another thing too. A lot of this stuff is already being put in place for that.
Has been chemtrails.
And when it comes down to I sat there and thought about it. I was like, we have the technology of the weather modification and cloud seed and all that stuff, but yet we have places that have droughts. All right. And then we have places that are having floods at the exact same time there's a drought.
Yeah.
It just it amazes me. It's like, okay, for instance, if we actually had the technology, which what we do have the technology. I mean, even the Department of Defense and the Air Force, whatever, they claim they're going to control the weather by 2030. Have control of the weather.
That cracks me up because we've been controlling weather for what? I keep forgetting it's like 2022 now. It's, hell, before 2000, years. We had it multiple countries doing it.
Over 50 years, actually. The technology's been around for a long time, but it's just been advanced ever since.
Well, actually, it doesn't. They figured out that it's not that advanced to control the weather because all you have to do is either excite or calm down particles in the atmosphere. Now, what that entails is either heating it up or cooling it down in a specific area. And by now, they've figured out if I heat up the air over in California just a little bit, then that'll make Missouri a lot colder, that type of thing. They've already got that all mapped out. So, all this stuff. Now, people want to talk about HAARP. HAARP, there's two different ways of HAARP. The original HAARP doesn't have the power to do anything other than what it was designed to do. That's the whole thing. But
there's many different antennas.
Yeah. But if you hook it up to a different power source and reconfigure it just a hair, then you can control the weather with it. Now, I'm not a scientist. I've never worked on it or anything like that. So take what I just said with a grain of salt. But that's the way I see it. That's the way it works out in my head, because all it takes is just tweaking something just a little bit in our universe, and you can change almost everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and a HARP really is just one facility, one antenna. There's
Yeah.
many different facilities around the planet that are doing the exact same type of experiments.
Call
There's a
HARP a prototype.
right. Well, yeah, it's the most famous anyway. Put it that way.
Right.
But I'll tell you this. There's this one, and this is just me experiencing it through the radio. Last solar cycle, a lot of people around the world kept on hearing this thing. What we coined as the Russian woodpecker, right? Because it came from a Russian direction. That's where the signal was originating, but it sounded like a woodpecker.
Right.
And it was spreading all across the bandwidth and stuff like that. I mean, it was over multiple frequencies at the same time, all kinds of stuff. All right. And there was another one just recently. What was it? Coming from like a Cuba, coming from that direction.
Yeah.
And it was all over like a lot of this, like the 40-meter hand bands. Like it was just covering a huge spectrum of the bandwidth.
Lots of power.
This noise. People were assuming it was just Cuban government was actually kind of like jamming the thing, because there was like a lot of people that were trying to communicate from Cuba on those frequencies or whatever. Anyway, but it's been kind of some interesting stuff when it comes down to certain stuff all over the spectrum. What's being put out there, and when it comes down to HARP, some of the experiments that they've done is basically manipulating the ionosphere. And when it comes down to like radio signals and stuff like that, that's the reason why I observe it, is because it gets affected when it starts messing with the ionosphere. The radio signals actually bounce from the off of the ionosphere. So when they start affecting that, it affects my radio signals and on, propagation, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So that's just me observing how things are going. And yeah, and like I said, HARP is just one facility, and terraforming is one of the conclusions that I come up with, simply because I observe the effects and what they're doing and how it's working. It's like it is almost like a terraforming effect.
Yeah.
Because
terraforming is something we've been familiar with for a long time. I mean, we've planned to terraform, or have plans to terraform Mars.
Right.
I mean, it's right there, and we're practicing here.
Well, but it's okay. It's not like me and a couple of my friends are out here like, yeah, I think I like the planet a little different. Let's do something about that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think it's something like that. There's something a little bit more to it. You know what I mean? When it comes down to this like, it's almost like the masters of the universe, the people that wants to dominate the fucking world. You know what I mean? Like those evil type of characters you see in like cartoons or comic books and stuff like that. They want to dominate the world.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There are people that are actually thinking in that level.
Yes, actually, very, very, very real.
You know what I mean?
I'll give you guys, for those of you who are young that might be listening in, on this is what happens when you bully smart people in high school, because now they're in charge and they're pissed.
Yeah, I mean, for real. You know what I mean? And I mean, and they get in these positions of, like, okay, you think about it, like how big tech and stuff like that is getting more and more influence and more control over certain aspects of our lives. All right. And then, and then big pharmaceutical companies at the same thing. These are smart people that were probably, didn't really want to take anybody's shit after a while. And they're like, okay, you know what? You guys are going to be paying me for the rest of your life.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I actually I actually was actually, kind of, I laughed my ass off when that one guy came up and fucking put a pie in his face. That was so many years ago, but I
Yeah.
laughed my ass off, man. I was like, yeah. I mean, I would love to see that again. Actually, stuff like that needs to happen. It's like back in the old days, when these, you know, let's call them these snake oil salesmen get up and they start talking their junk, and a bunch of people
Mhm.
out in the crowd start throwing tomatoes at them.
Right.
I think it should be like that.
Well, we used to
Again,
tar and feather politicians that didn't do the right
right.
thing.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they don't fear that. It's like the old saying. It's like put the fear of God in them. I don't think they fear God anymore. It's time to put fear of
You know
God in them
why?
again.
You know why they don't fear it anymore? It's
I have my
because
own.
they have
Go ahead.
they have their own personal police departments now to protect them.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
what all these police departments in all these cities are their police. They own them. They do as they're told by them.
Well,
That's
yeah.
the problem we're in.
Well, see,
All this
that's the
stuff that
thing.
we've talked about is connected,
Yeah.
intertwined.
Well, that's the thing. I was sitting there. See. I've been when I was younger, before the internet and all that stuff. I used to cop watch. All right. I used to do that stuff with like a VHS camcorder on my shoulder and stuff like that, and record fucking cops and stuff.
Right on.
So this movement that's what I call it, is a movement that has been going on since back in the early '80s or whatever, probably even before that, before my time. But the thing is like I've been seeing the evolving of that, and I've been watching it. These people, and they started, getting into this First Amendment auditing type of a label and stuff like that. And I tried to tell them, I was like, listen, you got to understand, cops are nothing but the teeth of the politicians and bureaucrats and all that stuff, legislatures. They're just doing what they're told because,
Organized crime.
well, I mean, as long as they get paid, as long as they get a place to sleep and some food in their belly, these people are going to do what they're told because they're going to get paid and they're going to get food and they're going to place to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't get that, how much do you think these cops are actually going to continue doing what they're doing?
Exactly. I mean, but still, they're under the impression that they're doing the right thing. And that's the dangerous part of it, because they're not doing the right thing. They're doing the last thing that is right. They're protecting the people that are subjugating the people.
Right. Well, yeah, it's becoming the opposite, basically, of what it should be. It's kind of like, what is it, that Terry versus Ohio, where pretty much made officer safety more important than the public safety.
Yeah.
And there's a few other examples, but that just happens to be one of them. But it's like,
Well, the example is getting pulled over by a cop.
right.
Does the cop turn on its flashing lights? Well, they're not supposed to turn on those lights unless there's an emergency.
Right, exactly. That's from what I understand now. I can't remember if it's in all states or not, but I know at least in one state, it's because I think it is general that those things are technically only supposed to be used in emergency when it happens. All right, and if they violate that, it's a felony. Now, a traffic stop is not an emergency.
Nope.
All right. And when they use that, basically are committing a felony right there. But nobody's really thinking about that or actually noticing that. And they don't get punished for this shit. It
That's
drives
because
me
they're not
insane.
taught that way. They're not taught the proper ways. They're taught the corporate way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got family that are cops and stuff like that. So I've grown up with the mentality around me, and I understand it. I mean, I understand the military. I understand the cop thing because I got family that are in it, and I understand the mentality and the thought process because I've been around it all my life.
Right.
And but so it's not, and even then, I mean, I've had my own dealings with courts and stuff like that too. So I have some experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But and that's the reason why. I mean, me personally, man, I'm really I'm really starting to think about pushing myself to follow the law and give up my license and give up my tag and all that shit and actually follow the law and just travel. And and actually kind of make a almost like a civil rights protest at the same time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm really getting down to that point where I might almost be forced into doing it. You know what I mean? Because I can't afford it or whatever. To continue paying the tax.
Yeah.
But I know I know damn well that I'm gonna get some kind of harassment.
Well, whenever you go down that route, it's not an easy route.
No,
That road is full of twists and turns and pitfalls, because once you start diving into what's real, then that's when you start, combating everybody that doesn't understand what is real. They
yeah,
only understand this fantasy of, well, cops are in charge.
right.
You know, and that it's not how it is. They're not supposed to be pulling over, all these little infractions, all this stuff. You have a right to free travel, people. I mean, it's one of
There,
those things where it boggles my mind, because I understand why people do it, because I did it for so long myself.
right,
You
right.
go along with the system because you think that's the way it should, it's supposed to be. You don't realize it.
I've been going along with the system because there is that small fear aspect, and I don't really fucking need to. I don't need to deal with the hassle of being violently assaulted, maybe even kidnapped. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't really want to deal with the freaking hassle, and I know I have this. There is that great possibility if I was to actually follow the law, because technically, right now, as it stands, I'm committing fraud. I am committing fraud because I am claiming that I am a driver, and I'm claiming that my automobile is a motor vehicle. I am committing fraud. I'm actually committing a fucking crime right now, but I'm
Hmm.
being forced in or compelled or coerced into committing fraud.
Well,
You know
they
what I
don't.
mean?
Well, think about the mask wearing stuff.
Right.
You're not supposed to. It's a felony to wear a mask in a bank
Right.
or a state building or anything like that. But yet, if you didn't, you got in trouble. That was
Well,
one
I
of the.
actually go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that whenever I went into the court, I argued with the security dude, because I was like, "So you're asking me to commit a felony? Can I have you put that in writing?"
Right.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, yeah.
because I'm just trying to follow the rules, and then the guy tried to give me some bullshit story about, well, they've waived that for now. No, they haven't. It's never been waived. You're just ignoring it.
Well, I had a guy who was telling me, I can't remember what state he was in, but to have his concealed carry license, one of the stipulations you can't wear a mask. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes against like his concealed carry thing. So to be compelled or coerced into wearing a mask and actually committing a crime, according to your CCW, you know what I mean? It's pretty fucked up. You know what I mean? And honestly, man, like I said, if I was to actually just like swallow that, fear altogether and just go with it, and actually playing the game, which that's another thing I don't really want to do. I don't want to play their game at all. But
Mm.
I can play the game, going through court and fighting this shit, and actually taking a lot of money from the people instead of the actual people that did the crime.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like the officers that would have done whatever they did to me when they committed the crimes, they won't get punished. If I get a settlement, next thing you know, it comes out of the pocket of the people, not his pocket.
Right.
You know,
But
that's what
every.
bothers me too. Because I mean, honestly, until these people start getting punished, and it always boils down to me is us, we the people, having some kind of enforcement. We don't
Well,
have. It's like, who do we call when the government does wrong? You
so
know what I
what you're
mean?
saying is a redress of grievance.
Well, even then, it's like, okay, that's like us begging the master to be better masters. No,
Well,
fuck that.
in their system, you're totally correct.
Yes.
But in the system that it was originally supposed to be in place, you're absolutely wrong.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, all right. Most people don't even know the difference between fucking laws and statutes. Most
Yeah.
people don't know the difference between legal and lawful. Most people don't know the difference between these things like travel and driving. They don't know the difference. You know what I mean? They think it's the same thing. As they call it semantics or whatever. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. And that's why I say in this day and age, at this moment, until they fucking delete everything, at this moment, you have no excuse to be ignorant because you
Yeah.
have all this information at your fingertips. You are able to find this information somehow. I mean, go further than Google, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just don't go say I Googled it and this is what I found and that's as far as you're going to go. No, you got to go deeper than that. But I mean, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. And that brings us back around to they want us all stupid, so we
Yep.
don't question, and they want us all obedient and just following along until basically there's, well, the stuff from the Georgia Guidestones.
You know what? I thought about that too. That's another thing too. Now, if this was just an actual individual, you know, that in my mind was doing the right thing,
Yeah.
he would have been plastered on the news by now. You know what I mean? So my observations making me question who actually did it.
You also have to take into consideration that the Georgia Guidestones is not something they want a spotlight on, because
well, I'm gonna tell you, it was supposed to survive through an apocalypse.
Got taken out by lightning, explosion.
No, it was an explosion. According to okay, now I saw that, you know, they got those security cameras that are on the things and stuff.
Yeah.
On one of the cameras earlier on, there was a shadowy figure placing something down, and then later on in that same spot, it blows up. All right. So, I mean, I can't, you know, confirm or deny if that's actually real or not. But as far as I know, that was one of the, because they had two angles. As far as I know, they had two you know, security cameras watching the sucker for two different angles. So, I mean, you know, if there was anything or anybody that did place anything on there, either one of those angles would have caught something. So, I don't know.
I haven't been able to dive deep into it or anything like that. All I've heard was the reports and stuff like that. But the first thing that struck me was that they weren't advertising it.
What, the whole explosion?
Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones themselves. They didn't really want to talk about it.
Oh no, dude, they were put in, what was it? 1980, I think it was.
Yeah, way back. Yeah.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I think it was like that back then. And yeah, it was just kind of like there. I mean, you know, they just one day arrived basically, right? And I'm gonna tell you something. You know, even the local people around there, the only reason why they're kind of like disappointed that they're gone now is because they brought so much tourists into the area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only reason. Otherwise, they, you know, most people didn't really care when we were there, is that they were there anyway.
Well, the thing about the Georgia Guidestones right now, and it makes sense that they're kind of cleaning that up. If that's what happened, I think it was the bad guys who blew it up, just because they don't want something out there like that set in stone that explains what they're doing.
Right. Well, and that's why I questioned, like, for instance, if it was just a good Samaritan doing his due diligence, if it really was, which, you know, whatever, they would have had his ass plastered all over the fucking news by now and arrested and all this other shit. All right. You know, so it makes me question the whole narrative altogether on the intent on why they had to be destroyed. All right. And then also I started looking into other stuff like the timing of when it was, and you know, even down to, like, you know, what was going on like at that very moment in all the solar system. You know, I was even looking into that kind of shit just to see what was going on. You know what I mean? But
You have to take
Um,
everything in
well, because I
consideration.
mean, evidently that thing was set so precise in certain aspects to basically be kind of like a calendar.
Mm.
All right, so um, uh, it was to signify certain events. But anyway, so what I just have more questions really when it comes down to it, simply because of what I'm observing of what happened, what's going on with it now. And actually, they claimed, like, after the explosion, they claimed it was structurally unsound, so that's why they had to destroy the rest of it. Now there's nothing
Yeah.
left of it now.
Quick
Um,
demolition of
right,
places that should be studied is
right.
a big red flag.
Well, I mean, that was another thing too. I found it pretty damn, soon. I don't really know how much, like, CSI type work they did on this shit to, like, find out, like, you think about it, the bomb squad come in there and kind of figure out, like, okay, we got this and that over here. Here's
Yeah.
a shard of this over here. This must be the ignition fucking shit. Find damn serious. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that kind of stuff. I saw some stuff at the very beginning, but didn't spend a lot of time on it.
Well,
You
think
know
of
what I
all
mean?
this. You can think about it in this way. This is the way I thought about it. This is a pattern of behavior. Anytime something gets, like I said, there's destruction and then it's cleared out as fast as possible, that's a big red flag. Now you can look back in history of different things that have happened here on American soil that have happened, and then they clean it up real quick so that there's no
Right,
time for investigation and stuff like that. This
right.
is a pattern of behavior that you
Yeah.
can trace.
I can give you another example on that level. Judge Scalia.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. They cremated his body so damn fast.
Yeah, they killed him.
Oh yeah, dude, he was a flat out murder, dude. I mean,
Did
yeah,
you
okay.
did you read what he wrote after or right before?
Oh man, I think I did. Now I think about it, but I can't remember exactly. I mean, it's been a while, but I think I did, but I can't remember.
Oh shit, it's on my laptop. It's not on this computer. But I went ahead and got that. I can't recall it right off the bat because I read it back months and months ago. But Scalia was one of those guys. He wait a minute. I'm sorry, I got myself distracted. I forgot what I was going to say now.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm actually, I just got in my truck, so I'll be traveling down the road for a while. I got to go to work, so I'm here for a minute. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get off here and I got a phone call. Hold on. Sorry about that. I got this phone call. I'm gonna have to jump off here. Well, I'm wondering if there's something wrong with Wingnut's connection again. I'll wait a few minutes to see if he comes back on. But as we speak, I just got a phone call from Amazon that evidently somebody's using my account somehow, even though I don't have an Amazon account. So, yeah. The best thing you can do is keep an open mind about everything that's going on. They will do everything they can in every facet of your life to keep you confused. And it's going to take everyone just, well, essentially doing deep research for themselves, because we have to dig out this mess that they've made. And it's basically everyone's individual responsibility to do this. Now, you're going to get the mass of people who are going to look at you like you're, insane. But this is something that has to be done. I mean, if you are committed to stupidity, you will live in stupidity. Yeah, welcome back. I'm going to have to jump off here because I'm going to work too. You there, Wingnut? If you're talking, I can't hear you. Uh-oh. Looks like traveling is killing his signal. Yep. All right. I'm gonna try and hold this down until he gets clear signal. Take care, Huckleberry. Catch you later. Now, personal responsibility is something that they are breeding out of us, so to speak. So personal responsibility is something that needs to come back in full force, because if we don't, then they're going to win. And the future don't look bright for that. As a matter of fact, the future looks uninhabitable. The best thing we can do is arm ourselves with knowledge. The more you know, the better you'll be prepared for anything that comes at you. Now, as far as what's going on with modern day and, the political structure and all that stuff, they're not working for you. They haven't been for a while. And, well, just to put it short, they want nothing but bad things for you. Because, the medicine that's out there, all big pharma and everything, they want patients. They don't want people. The more you're sucking on the teat of, well, we'll just call it big government, then that's the more you're going to be dependent. And dependency is weakness. And the more weak you are, the stronger they get. Because they can come up and just say anything. They have been. And the mass of people will believe it because they're only reading headlines. So the only way we can figure this out and correct it is to work towards it by learning. Now, at this time, since I'm just kind of occupying space on Wingnut's show here, then I would encourage everybody to go to the National Assembly or national-assembly.net. There's a wealth of information there, and it's populated with a large group of people who are trying to put an end to this BS that we're in the midst of. Taking it back to, well, essentially completing what the Founding Fathers started. Because it didn't get finished. We've been infiltrated. And unfortunately, I do need to go ahead and shut this down because I need to leave for work. So I'll thank you, Wingnut, for having me up. I appreciate it. It's always great talking to you. And hopefully I'll be around next time you jump up. And for everyone else, I bid you all a great day, great night, and sweet dreams. Good night.
All right, guys.